The scratched record technique is a simple but effective way to communicate and defend oneself in a variety of situations. It involves repeatedly stating the same appropriate phrase without changing the order of the words or the intonation of the pronunciation, in order to stop an opponent's attack and show them that continuing the attack is futile. One of the main benefits of using this technique is that it demonstrates your psychological stability and resilience. By maintaining a consistent intonation and not letting your opponent's words or actions affect you, you can effectively communicate that you are not easily swayed or swayed. This can be especially useful in situations where your opponent is trying to get under your skin or rattle you with insults or other provocations. Repeating the same phrase over and over again can also be an effective way to derail your opponent's thought process and disrupt their momentum. This can be especially useful in situations where your opponent is trying to manipulate or coerce you into doing something you don't want to do. By repeating the same phrase, you can effectively communicate that you are not swayed by their words or actions, and that you will not be swayed from your position. There is also scientific evidence to support the effectiveness of the scratched record technique. According to research on social influence and persuasion, repeating a message or phrase multiple times can increase the likelihood that it will be remembered and accepted as true. This is because repetition helps to reinforce the message in the listener's mind, making it more likely to stick and have an impact. One example of the scratched record technique being used effectively is during a negotiation. Imagine that you are trying to negotiate a better deal with a supplier, but they are unwilling to budge on their terms. You might try using the scratched record technique by repeatedly stating your position and the reasons why their terms are not acceptable. By doing this, you can effectively communicate your position and show the supplier that you are not willing to compromise on your terms. Another example of the scratched record technique being used effectively is during a confrontation with an aggressive or confrontational person. Imagine that you are out in public and someone starts yelling at you or threatening you. In this situation, you might use the scratched record technique by repeatedly stating your position and calmly stating that you are not interested in engaging in a confrontation. By doing this, you can effectively communicate your desire to de-escalate the situation and show the aggressive person that you are not afraid of them. In conclusion, the scratched record technique is a simple but effective way to communicate and defend oneself in a variety of situations. By repeating the same appropriate phrase over and over again, without changing the order of the words or the intonation of the pronunciation, you can demonstrate your psychological stability and resilience, as well as disrupt your opponent's thought process and momentum. While it is not a one-size-fits-all solution and may not work in every situation, it can be a powerful tool for maintaining your composure and standing your ground in the face of attack. It's important to keep in mind that the scratched record technique should be used with caution and only in appropriate situations. It's not a technique that should be used in every situation or with every person, as it may not be effective in every case. For example, the scratched record technique may not be effective if your opponent is someone who is highly resistant to persuasion or who is not receptive to your message. In these cases, it may be more effective to try a different approach, such as using logic and reasoning to persuade your opponent or seeking the help of a mediator or arbitrator. It's also important to use the scratched record technique in a respectful and non-confrontational manner. Repeating the same phrase over and over again in a confrontational or aggressive manner is likely to escalate the situation and may not be effective in achieving your desired outcome. It's also important to be aware of the potential risks of using the scratched record technique. For example, if you are using it in a negotiation or other business setting, it's possible that your opponent may become frustrated or annoyed by your repetition and may be less likely to negotiate with you in the future. In these cases, it's important to weigh the potential benefits of using the scratched record technique against the potential risks and costs. Overall, the scratched record technique can be a useful tool in certain situations, but it's important to use it wisely and only in appropriate circumstances. By considering the potential risks and benefits and using the technique in a respectful and non-confrontational manner, you can effectively communicate your message and stand your ground in the face of attack.